Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Artan, who arrives at the hospital to see his wife. He goes to the receptionist and says he's there to visit his wife. The receptionist asks him to wait, giving him a token number. Artan takes the token and waits for his turn. When his number is called, he goes to the receptionist, who asks how she can assist him. He explains he wants to meet his wife, who called him to come. The receptionist informs him that his wife is currently receiving treatment for depression. If he wants to see her, he'll need to wait until lunchtime. Upon hearing this, he becomes enraged, and brandishes a gun. The frightened receptionist, seeing the weapon, falls down and injures her hand. The commotion attracts the attention of Artan's wife, Louise, who comes out and questions his presence. He explains that Louise had called him to meet, but she hadn't. As Artan and Louise attempt to leave, a hospital staff member alerts the police. In no time, the police arrive with vehicles surrounding the hospital. Louise tries to reason with Artan, urging him to put down the gun and surrender. However, consumed by anger, he writes a note to the police, stating that if they want to talk, a police officer must enter the hospital without weapons. The situation becomes tense, as the authorities attempt to defuse the escalating crisis. Inside the hospital, a police officer named Lucas bravely enters unarmed and without his clothes. Artan allows him to put on his clothes after checking. Lucas observes that everyone in the hospital is unharmed. Despite Artan initially answering questions incorrectly, Lucas gradually gains his trust. Through conversation, Artan reveals that his ex-wife Louise took away their daughter, Cassandra, and he desperately wants to reunite with her. However, she and her family have prevented him from seeing Cassandra. He demands a car from Lucas without a number plate and with tinted windows. Louise, witnessing this, is shocked and starts crying, as Artan holds a gun to her head. Lucas, complying with Artan's demands, prepares the car, but insists on checking Artan's bag for any potential bombs. He questions Artan about why he's doing all this in Kiev. Artan explains that he has been missing Cassandra for days, and is trying to meet her, but Louise is preventing it. He reiterates that he wanted to meet Cassandra today, but Louise has denied him access. Frustrated and angry, he sees punishing Louise as the only way to resolve the situation, even if it means resorting to violence. He expresses a willingness to harm Louise, emphasizing it doesn't matter to him. The tense situation unfolds with Lucas caught between Artan's demands and the safety of those involved. He informs Artan that the car is being arranged, and will arrive in about 15 minutes. As he converses, Lucas begins to understand that Artan is not mentally well. 2 additional police officers enter the hospital, and Lucas signals to them, indicating that he is okay, explaining the situation. Shortly after, the police arrange for a car, and it arrives at the hospital. The 3 of them exit the hospital and get into the car. Lucas takes the wheel and starts driving, aiming to navigate the tense situation and safely handle Artan, who is clearly struggling with his mental state. As they drive, a convoy of police vehicles follows them closely. After a while, Lucas asks Artan for directions, and Louise instructs them to head to Western Road. Lucas, concerned about the situation, urges Artan to put the gun down, but he remains unresponsive. When the covering on the car falls, Artan realizes that the car doesn't have tinted windows. The sight of numerous police cars chasing them terrifies him. Despite Lucas's attempts to explain that it's for the police's protection, Artan becomes increasingly nervous. Eventually, Lucas convinces him to continue. As they cover a considerable distance, Lucas notices that the car is running low on petrol. He informs Artan that the fuel is almost depleted, adding another layer of tension to the already fraught situation. The group must now contend with both the dwindling petrol, and the persistent pursuit of the police vehicles. Despite Artan's initial refusal, Lucas convinces him to pour petrol into the car, to avoid it coming to a halt. As Artan begins to pour, he receives a call, and instructs Lucas to turn on the radio. To their shock, the radio broadcast announces the presence of bombs in Artan's bag. Panicked, Artan reassures Lucas that there are no bombs. On Lucas's walkie-talkie, a police officer inquires about bombs, and he firmly denies. Artan, relieved that he won't be labeled a terrorist, fears the consequences of such an accusation. Lucas reassures the police officer that they plan to stop at the next petrol pump. Upon hearing this, all the police vehicles that were tailing them surge ahead, and stop at the upcoming petrol pump. The situation intensifies, leaving Artan and the police in a precarious standoff. Upon spotting the police at the petrol pump, Artan becomes paranoid, fearing that he will be surrounded and arrested, or even harmed. He accuses Lucas of orchestrating a plan to get him killed, but Lucas reassures that his intention is to ensure their safe escape. Ignoring the petrol pump with the police, Artan instructs Lucas to drive to the next one, convinced that it's a safer option. At the subsequent petrol pump, Lucas suggests getting coffee, but Artan, still distrustful, hides between the car seats, accusing Lucas of potentially poisoning the coffee. Despite the tension, they manage to fill up the car with petrol. As they resume their journey, the atmosphere in the car is thick with silence. The trio travels on, each person lost in their own thoughts, the uncertainty of the situation looming over them. In a moment of reflection, Artan queries Lucas about his children, to which he confirms a son and a daughter. Artan inquires about his marital status, and he discloses that he and his wife divorced due to differences in thinking and a deteriorating relationship. He cautions Artan about the challenging road ahead, emphasizing the presence of numerous potholes. Tensions rise as Artan and Louise engage in a heated argument, prompting Lucas to urge Artan to put down the gun to prevent harm to Louise. Amidst the turmoil, Artan accuses Lucas of attempting to harm Cassandra. He reveals a disturbing incident, where Louise took Cassandra to the doctor without proper clothing in bitter cold weather. As the conversation unfolds, Louise takes medicine from a bottle, exposing a speech disorder that adds another layer of complexity. As the argument between them intensifies, Lucas attempts to mediate and bring about a resolution. The trio arrives in front of Louise's parents' house, and Artan implores Lucas to bring Cassandra outside, so he can take her. Meanwhile, Louise's father emerges from the house, and Artan directs verbal abuse towards him. Lucas approaches Louise's father, and manages to convince him to allow Cassandra to meet Artan. The police, stationed outside the house to ensure safety, are reassured by Lucas that Artan won't pose a threat. Lucas takes his car to the garage of the house, facilitating a more controlled and secure environment for Artan to meet his daughter. Inside the garage, Artan makes a desperate offer to pay, in exchange for being allowed back into Louise and his granddaughter's life. Unfortunately, the situation takes a dangerous turn when Stefan, presumably a member of Louise's family, attempts to shoot Artan. Lucas steps in to prevent the violence from escalating further. During this chaotic moment, Artan and Louise are finally reunited with their daughter. It becomes apparent that Louise has a strained relationship with her parents, creating a tense and hostile atmosphere for their daughter. Despite the reunion, Artan takes drastic actions, holding Louise and Sandro hostage, compelling Lucas to drive them away. As the situation intensifies, the National Task Force is contacted to understand Artan's demands. Seeking an escape, he requests safe passage to Albania with his family. However, he remains steadfast, declining the offer of safe passage extended by the Albanian ambassador. The tension continues to rise. In a surprising turn, the group's car is bombarded with eggs by some children, adding fuel to the already heated argument between Artan and Louise. Artan accuses her of being a mad mother, intensifying the conflict. Amidst the chaos, she reveals she had a psychotic breakdown, which prompted her to leave their family. Since then, she has lived in constant fear of experiencing another breakdown, leading to her heavy reliance on medication. The journey reaches a critical juncture, as Lucas brings the car to the dock, where the National Task Force engages in negotiations with the ferry drivers. Meanwhile, Lucas seizes the opportunity to use Artan's phone, and contacts Theodore, his estranged son. Through the conversation with his son, Lucas subtly conveys to Artan that it's never too late to be a good father, regardless of past mistakes. In a surprising turn, Artan requests to speak with Louise alone. Filled with remorse for his actions, Artan expresses a genuine desire to rectify his mistakes, after Louise encourages him. In a heartfelt conversation, Louise apologizes for her past behavior, and assures Artan that he will have the chance to visit his daughter more frequently. Ultimately, he is moved to lower his gun, as he prioritizes his daughter's well-being over everything else. Although they don't fully reconcile, they agree to be better parents to Cassandra. In a realization of his mistakes, Artan sets Louise and Cassandra free from captivity. He understands that he cannot fix the family's situation by forcing them to escape to Albania, as he lacks the necessary resources and a home in the country. He steps out of the car, dropping his gun, and willingly submitting to arrest by the police officers. However, he smiles, finding motivation to become a better father after reuniting with his daughter. The question remains, does Lucas reconcile with his son? It weaves Lucas's own failed marriage story into the tense drama sparked by Artan. Lucas's story parallels Artan's, as he reveals he cheated on his wife. He explains that his son discovered the affair after the infidelity, leading to a strained relationship with his ex-wife. Despite initial challenges, they found a way to be okay with each other. In contrast, Theodore is yet to forgive his father. Lucas shares that he is striving to be a better father for Theodore's sake, a sentiment that seemingly resonates with Arton. This encouragement prompts Arton to abandon his charade and start fresh. However, due to his involvement in the hostage situation, Lucas is forced to miss his son's birthday. From the car, Lucas calls Theodore, expressing his love. While Theodore appears upset about the missed birthday, the conversation takes a lighter turn, implying an understanding of the situation, with a sense of hope and the potential for healing within both families. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.